Can you all hear me? Yay! Welcome to, I think, what is our final panel for the day, which is Cosplay is for Everybody. Yay! So you don't have to spend a bunch of money and you don't have to be super serious about it. Anybody can do cosplay as long as you want to have fun. Awesome. So who are we? Should you want to connect with us afterwards, here are our Instagram handles. I'm Allison Does Props, Anna is AJ Lobster, and Mersadis is Mersadist SFX. And we'll all introduce ourselves so you know who's who. I am Allison. Here are some of my favorite cosplays. I accidentally got into cosplay because my friends and I were going to a Wizard of Oz movie when I was in high school. And I said, hey guys, we're gonna dress up as everybody in the Wizard of Oz. I didn't tell them that nobody else was dressing up. This thought just popped into my head that we would go as the characters. It's one of the movies in the park. Sure enough, my friends and I all show up and we're dressed as the Wizard of Oz characters. No one else is, and everybody loves us. We get in for free, we get snacks for free, we get pictures of small children. It was a ton of fun. So before I knew cosplay was a thing, I'm just extra and started cosplaying before I knew what it was. So that is my story. Miss Mersadis, would you like to come up next?
Hi, guys. So I'm Mersadis. My cosplay background, I guess, my family is very, very nerdy. My mother got me into comics as a kid, and I guess my first con was actually New York Comic Con. I actually got to work as a vendor and dressed up as Death. I was a teenager and got to get in for free. Neil Gaiman is my god, and got into, and all my a majority of my tattoos are Neil Gaiman related, but got into cosplay that way, and friends dressing up and going to events and in general like to dress up, and got Allison to go to a couple cons with me. So that's how she transitioned into the cosplay scene. So yay.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm not a cosplayer. Why am I here? I'm a costume designer. And I am a person who likes to dress up and take photos of myself. But these aren't characters I'm doing. This is just me. Like, cosplayers are crafting a character, and I'm just being me in a weird outfit. So I feel like there's a little bit of a difference, but I do love and respect all my cosplaying friends. And the look you're seeing here that I'm wearing is a modified version of what I wore to go to the Galactic Star Cruiser Star Wars Immersive Experience, which tragically is closing in September. But you can see here some of my looks. This is a clown with wearing a pom-pom bra, which I have brought for you to see. I don't know this cat. That's a stranger cat. This is a frog bra that I made. A lot of bra-based crafts is my ministry. So, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about different cosplay aspects, if you want to advance me. And I thought we would start with some of the common barriers that people see as why they're not getting into cosplay. So, expense. I don't have money. How am I supposed to do cosplay? We're going to address that. Presumed lack of skill. Guess what? Doesn't matter. Just do it. Doesn't matter. We're all going to be dead in 100 years, so just make some cosplay. Don't have all the fancy tools you need. Now, Mersadis is going to talk a little bit about some of the cool tools that you can use to create cosplay looks, but you don't need anything but like maybe some scissors and your hands and like a hot glue gun, and you'll be good. And one thing that really speaks to me is sort of like people who are like, well, I don't look like this character that I want to cosplay. I'm not skinny enough. I'm the wrong race. Who cares? If somebody's a jerk to you because of that, fuck them. Am I allowed to swear in this? Are there kids here? Oh, he's official. Okay. So what we want to do here is just say, you can do cosplay. Anybody can do cosplay. We're all here because we love cosplay and we love dressing up and we love creating new and exciting things. We have all these things. So let's talk about some of these barriers. Allison, that doesn't have to stop you. You can do cosplay. If this sign says you're not good enough to make cosplay looks and also you're ugly, shut up, sign. I can't read that. Next slide. One thing I wanted to talk about was cosplay doesn't have to be fancy now. I see some delightful outfits in the audience here, but you can also do cosplay looks with just regular ass clothes. This is an outfit that I one time wore on the T when I lived in Boston. This is just a regular outfit. And a man came up to me and he said, "Who are you cosplaying?" And I said, "I'm not." And I was like, okay, I guess I do have blue. I have blue hair now. I had blue hair then, so I get it. I'm stepping on something. I'm Velcroed to something. It's fine. I determined later what I think that this man thought I was. Does anybody in the audience have an idea? Great. I love it. Marge Simpson, great guess. I believe this is what he thought I was doing. That's my best guess. I'm not familiar with the Sailor Moon franchise, but I had a friend who was like, you know what? It could be her. And I honestly don't remember which one it is. Who is it? Does anybody know Sailor Moons? The gay one. Great. I love her. So, when we talk about cosplay, I'm wearing this because of my personality and the person that I am. And that doesn't, if you want to just wear like a jacket and some pants and like a little name tag that says, I don't know, I'm making this up, but it doesn't have to be fancy. You just have to have fun with it. Next slide. Also, you don't ever have to start from scratch. What I'm wearing here, I made this dress, but this is a bathrobe that I cut the sleeves off of. And part of the sleeves is my gloves. And this was a necklace. This is a necklace. This is also a necklace. I guess my main tip is buy a lot of necklaces. So these are a few things where I purchased a thing and made it into what it was that I wanted. So the one on the far left is a costume that I designed for a play. And the skirt was just sort of a regular white skirt. I painted a parrot on it. I made the silhouette a little bit different, and now it's this 1930s skirt that we were looking for. The middle one is from a production of Hedwig that I costume designed, and the bathrobe that they are wearing was 2 bathrobes that I found at the thrift store, and I cut one up, and I added it to, I love bathrobes, I added it to the other bathrobe and put fringe on it. So it's not like I didn't build the bathrobe, but I tinkered with it. I do a lot of tinkering. And then that third one is my sister and me as hipster Ursula and hipster Ariel for Halloween 10 years ago with all clothes that we already owned. So there's not, you don't have to think about it as I have to get a bunch of new stuff to wear. Look at what you already have and figure out how that can work into whatever look it is you're going for. Next slide. The other key element for creating things is anything can be anything else. And what I mean by that is this Victorian look on the far left, that's curtains. They are IKEA curtains that I found at the thrift store. Now, I'm a very experienced sewist. So I did sew those, and that, nobody should be expecting to do that right away, but like, that's curtains. That middle one, that is another curtain. So bathrobes and curtains, definitely just acquire those. So that's a curtain that I projected a photo of this man's face on and traced with a Sharpie and spray painted and added fabric to. The fabric is kitchen towels. So like just every time I look at something, I'm thinking about raw materials. I'm not thinking about what is this thing now. I'm thinking about what could this thing be? It's a necklace? What could it be? And then that last one is a yarn wig. That's just yarn on a hat. So check out yarn wigs, y'all. So one thing that I wanted to address in terms of expense are a couple of local, actual actionable things that might be helpful. So free or very cheap supplies. I love getting stuff for free. I do a lot of thrifting, but I also am very active in my Buy Nothing group. If you are not currently in your Buy Nothing group, I definitely recommend it. It varies obviously from neighborhood to neighborhood. But if you look at the Find a Group, you'll find every single group that exists in the US. I had this whole I was like, I'm gonna find all the groups that are in like the Northern Virginia counties, and I live in DC. I was like, just go look at the website. But Buy Nothing is a super great resource. When Allison asked me to do this panel, I was like, I'm gonna make a great fairy cosplay out of garbage. And I didn't do that. But I did ask people in my Buy Nothing group for garbage. And they were like, do you want all my water bottles? And so I had all these water bottles. And then I did not have time to make a great fairy cosplay out of garbage. But you can get garbage from the people in your Buy Nothing group. Facebook Marketplace. I think some of you here are probably closer to my age, and some of you are much younger than me and don't use Facebook. But Facebook Marketplace, make an account if you want to use it. Craigslist still exists, and there's still a free section on Craigslist. Free Cycle is another one that's sort of like Buy Nothing, where it's just people giving stuff away. And again, you're looking for raw materials. You're not like, I'm going to go on Free Cycle and find a costume. You're like, I'm going to go on Free Cycle and find a tarp. Or I'm going to go on Free Cycle and find a bunch of foam or whatever. There was a man in my Buy Nothing group giving away pipe, like the insulation that goes around a pipe. It was all these long foam tubes, and I used them for a costume design project. Clothing swaps are another great one for clothing pieces. There is actually one coming up in DC on August 27th. It's huge. The last one they had was a couple months ago, and I didn't go to it, but I saw the pictures, and it's just in Malcolm X Park in DC, and it was just like tarps with clothes as far as the eye can see. So those are always great to check out. Plush DMV is a really great organization that's plus size specific in DC, and they hold clothing swaps. And the other thing you can do is dumpster diving. I do not recommend it. It is dangerous and illegal, but I am in the dumpster diving subreddit, and it's very interesting. So don't do that. And of course, thrift stores. I think anybody who's here probably is familiar with these. Unique is my personal favorite because they're huge. Habitat for Humanity Restore is actually a home goods store. It has a lot of like shelves and stuff. But again, if you're looking for metal stuff, if you're looking for things that you need to carve into something, that could help you. Second Avenue Thrift is another great chain. They have one in Woodbridge and a couple other places, but they're also really big. Goodwill I put at the end because they're a little annoying at the corporate level, but they are still okay. And then I wanted to give a big shout out to Upcycle Craft Creative Reuse Center is in Alexandria, and it's exclusively for craft supplies. It's all when you make a donation, they make you make an appointment. So they only take stuff that's actually going to be like useful. So they have rules about like how much yarn can somebody donate, how much fabric, but they have like fabric, yarn, styrofoam stuff, containers. I got a bunch of bottle caps. And I costume designed this production of Hedwig and made a bunch of bottle cap based like sort of armor looking things. I got a bunch of slides, like from a slide projector. So it's a really cool place if you are open to like what the universe is going to provide, because you never know really what you're going to get. Like, you could find a stamp or you could find the perfect fabric for whatever. And they a lot of their stuff is priced by the bag. So you just have a little bag and then you pay $5 or $10 or $30 based on the size of the bag. So that one is great. Fabric Place Basement is my favorite fabric store in the area. It's in Alexandria. Dollar stores have a surprising craft section. My neighbor gave me a silhouette cameo cutter several months ago. He just gave it to me because he was moving. And I was like, so when I figured out how to use it, I was like, well, I want to get some stuff to cut, but I don't want to lay out a lot of cash. And the dollar store had like vinyl and stuff. And we have to mention Michael's and Joann's. They are scammers. They are expecting you to use coupons every single time, so do not shop there unless you have a coupon. You can always find a coupon. I was at Michael's the other day, and I was about to check out, and I Googled Michael's coupon, and I got a 20% off coupon that I scanned. So, like, just don't shop there without a coupon. Oh, Michael's and Joann. Because so often that's the only place that you have to go. And I try to avoid Jeff's bad website as much as I can. I know Amazon is it's quick and it has so many good uses, but part of my cosplay philosophy is that what we are doing is creating something new that's specific to you, and part of that for me is reusing materials that already exist, and trying to limit the amount of stuff that I'm acquiring new, which also can be helpful in the terms of expenses. So those are some of my breaking down the barriers of cosplay, and I think that's it for me. And Mercedes is going to take over.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And honestly, I learned so much from you, Anna. And this goes really well into what I'm talking about, because I'm going to be talking about a lot of tool-related things and prop stuff, because I am fully into making props out of what I have. I am a hoarder of things. I hoard any bit of cardboard, googly eyes, any stuff that I have, and I try to make things out of them. So I want to talk both about the thrifting side of prop making, but then also if you do want to invest into some of the tools, and wanted to provide you with some of the kind of starter tools that you can use on there. Going into, this is some of tools in the Nova Labs. We wanted to give you some resources to the Nova Labs, because I believe that one provides, that's you guys. Yep. Yeah, so the novalabs.org has these tools for you being able to use if you cannot purchase yourself. If anybody does need to get one of these slides to get a screenshot, let us know afterwards, and we can definitely let you get a screenshot of those. So if you want to go next ones. Oh, makerspaces in that area libraries. These are some slides that are not mine, but check out your local libraries as well for some makerspaces, because they actually have free resource spaces, including some tools as well. So if you do not have the tools yourself, being able to use those resources for a temporary period for your projects is awesome. So different ones in our areas that we wanted to check out, but your local libraries, resource Google for your local libraries and see what kind of access that they have. So going into, so this is props with what you've got. So there's so many crafting things that you can use with pieces that you have. I'm big for recognizing when you have a prop that you really want to make, recognizing what shapes that you're trying to create with them. So breaking it down to the shapes that you need and using those shapes. So asking yourself, how functional does the prop need to be? A lot of times people think about the props as far as the big scale of them, the movability and being able to move them up and down and making the wings expand and things like that. Do they really need to? Or can it be one solid piece just for the picture ability of them? and as well as, does it need to be fully solid? So how solid or sturdy does it need to be? Is it for one con use? Am I using this for one cosplay because my group of friends wants to be one group together? Or do I want to use this as a cosplay for the year? I'm going to use different materials based on how long I need to use it for. Is it okay that it's going to disintegrate after that con? I've had many props that have not lasted past one con, and that is fully okay. That's fine. You have the picture memory of it, and you're going to cherish that forever. And then making a filler or base with inexpensive materials to save time for the detail work. So that would be things like aluminum foil that you have in your kitchen, and using that for the full base, and then investing in the paint or the top material as your actual covering, the thing that people are going to see, and using your money on that top base. So going on to the next one. So I'm going to use an example that I have with two of the props that I had. So Baltimore Comic-Con, I'm a big Sandman fan, Neil Gaiman fan, as I said. I was going to go as Delirium just by myself, and I had some friends that were Sandman fans, and they said, hey, if you make us costumes, we'll go with you. And I had a week. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. So I had 1 week to make 4 of my friends into Sandman characters with me. And I took that on that challenge, and all I had was the things in my tiny little apartment in Ashburn. So I decided that I was going to make Destiny's book. I was going to make Delirium's fish. I had to make all the other costumes. I had to do all the costumes and things for that too. So starting with Destiny's book, this is a Amazon package, cardboard package. So what I did is I took the Amazon cardboard, cut it into a book shape and a thinner cardboard strip that I then glued together. And then I Mod Podged a bunch of tissue paper around it. And then googly-eyed, so these are all googly eyes for all the rivets. And then this is a thin piece of foam. And then this guy, this is a really cheap Dollar Tree because it was around Halloween or a little bit before. So this is a Dollar Tree chain that was on some hideous something. So I took it off that, painted it a bit so it was a little more weathered, looked a little bit better. Did again, if you look really close, not so good, but it's a foam cuff on there. And then I did a really detailed, this is, guys, it's like 7 years old, so it's a little bit dusty at this point, but did a really detailed weathering on there. But this is tissue paper and cardboard and Mod Podge, and that's all it is. And it's really sturdy, and it looked for the character. Everybody knew what the character was. My fish, who is one of my favorite starter props that I ever made, this started off as a foam egg because I looked at the shape of a fish and I said, that is the shape of a cylinder. I need to find something that is a cylinder shape. And I went to my local craft store and I found a egg shape and Mod Podge and wire. So that is an egg shape that I then put some air dry clay over to make it a little more bulbous. And then I took wire on the sides here and then glued tissue paper again. I like the tissue paper. And I did tissue paper in between the wire. And then I did just a really nice paint job around it to make my little fishy. The fishy actually hung by a really taut wire so that the fish could hang in the air because Delirium's character has the fish hanging up in the air as she walks. And now I have her standing so that she can hang in my house like that. And again, this fish took me 1 week, but she was the talk of the town. People asked me which stall, which vendor I got her from. So they thought I bought her from somewhere. And she was just a really good talking piece. And I was able to get that done and rush it. But that was really good examples of things that I had in my house, but they made an impact. Were they perfect? No, but everybody knew the characters, or anybody that liked those characters knew the characters. But that's the point. All you need is that one person that's like, I love that franchise, I love that fandom, and that's what you cling to. So that was us at the con. and we really appreciated it. And my husband actually walked around barefoot at Baltimore Comic-Con, which was daring, very daring, but it worked out. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and challenge yourself, but challenge yourself with I did not spend a lot of money on this, and it worked out just as well, and we had just as much fun as we would with anything expensive. So next slide. But I also wanted to talk about, I have the fortunate ability that I have also invested in some tools. So this is really great, and when you find your niche, and if you find that, let's say, swords prop making is your thing and that's what you love to do, and you want to create some more decorative and extreme things, you can start investing in some tools. And so there's some really great resources that Anna talked about, but I wanted to highlight a couple of tools that were kind of the first ones that I looked at. So first, rotary tool. People always talk about Dremel, but there are some really other great brands at good price points that are not that name brand of Dremel. If you want to go Dremel, look at certain times of year at those big box stores, not just like holiday time, but Father's Day is a really good one. Father's Day is a really good time of year that tools like that are on sale, because those handheld tools seem to be, that's what every father wants apparently. But you can get, sometimes the Dremel ones can get down a really good price at that point. Power tools like sanders, a power drill, a heat gun is a big one. There was a panel earlier that talked about EVA foam, and a heat gun is a really good tool for that. A airbrush kit. Amazon has some really good ones that are under $50. Some of them get down to like $20. And while they're not super long lasting and they take some maintenance, and by that I mean do not skip cleaning it every single time that you paint. Do never skip that. You can get one for $20, $30 that will last you for a little bit and do a really good job. The paintbrush, the air tools are really good for giving great dimension into your props. You can create some great shadows in those crevices that you have. A Cricut machine, down at the bottom, actually those are decals that I have on my car. My daughter is, I think you guys saw her earlier, she's a big Star fan, so Star, and then my other daughter's a Owl House fan, so those are decals on my car. But a Cricut machine, they run anywhere from like $300 to $400, $600. There's a version that's now twice as long, that's like $1,000 to $1,500. So they can get kind of expensive, but again, sales is when you look for them. The Cricut machines allow you to create images and have it automatically cut out for you, which is really great for designs. An example of that is my daughter's Star versus the Forces of the Evil wand that I made her. I used my Cricut machine to make the little hearts for it, so I didn't have to hand paint tiny little hearts onto the machine, or onto my piece. And that actually goes into one thing that I wanted to talk about, which is 3D printers. One of the other panels talked about 3D printers and how much she loved 3D printers, but 3D printers are horrendously expensive. Everybody talks about how expensive they are. I have a 3D printer, and I love my 3D printer. This is what we made my daughter, and she has gotten many, many uses out of it. This is another version of a wand that we made that these actually were not even designed by me. There's a website called Thinkiverse that people graciously make designs and then put them online for free for you to download. So these are both designed by somebody else that I was able to download and print out and use within my 3D printer. So there are a mass of 3D printers that are really, really great machines. I wanted to highlight two machines that are definitely not the top of the line ones, but really good machines that with a little bit of, they definitely take a little more babying. And what I mean by that is you got to know them, you got to research a little bit on them to know your temperatures and, watch them a little bit so they're not messing up on you. But I have an old version of the Ender 3 V2, version 2, and it works great for us. We had to do some modifications, and by modifications, I mean I looked up modifications, got the files, printed those print pieces on my 3D printer, and attached them on my 3D printer, and now they work great. So it's all self-working, but they have a new version called the Ender 3 version 2 Neo. It's $232. We looked it up last night, so not a bad price point within the 3D printer version. And then my husband wanted to highlight this Neptune 4 Pro for $330 that has a good price point, and people have been talking really good things about that as well. But two versions that are under $500 that work really well. Now, you do have to invest in supplies and maintenance, but those, again, under $500, do your research on them, but that is an investment that you can make and make a ton of really cool things with. And then laser cutters and CNC routers. I won't go too much into them, but I have a CNC router as well. There are lay-down CNC routers, which can, again, get very, very expensive. When you're looking at those, compare those to there's horizontal CNC routers and vertical CNC routers. We have a vertical we have one that goes up and down like this. Much less expensive. You have to baby the crap out of it. Really, really baby the crap out of it because it can go all different directions, which is great for us. We don't mind, but when you say, why is that so much less expensive? Because it's in the hundreds versus the thousands, and people say, why? It's because you literally have to watch it to make sure wood doesn't go flying across your room and breaking out windows. But it's a good machine if you're willing to invest in that time. So I think that's what I got. Allison, next to you.
So my first piece of advice is have a friend like Mercedes so you don't have to spend money on anything. She does help me with things. But I wanted to talk about, I'm kind of like in between these two gals. Like I don't have any of the fun, fancy stuff. I will sometimes order from Jeff's evil website. Sorry, Anna. But what I like to do is what's approachable. Like I admire the heck out of people who can get up on a stage and take 3 hours to get ready in their outfit. And I have some more involved cosplays, but what I really wanted to talk about and make approachable in this panel is something you can walk around in all day and feel good in and feel confident and shop at the con and have your day and just enjoy it, right? Like not everything has to be a 5-hour process to put on in order for it to be a good cosplay. When I'm looking at a cosplay, I look for something that's what's called my hero piece. So H, does it give me the happy factor, right? Like, do I get really excited when I know that that's the thing that I'm going to craft? Or when I look at my character, do I go, oh my gosh, that's going to make me really happy to walk around with and have because it's going to make my personality? E is essential to the character. Sometimes you'll have something that's a little bit quirky. We've got a great SpongeBob hat back here. You're not finding that anywhere else. It's for sure essential to the character. Yeah, and she made it. That's awesome. Yes. But that's my point is like that's essential to the character. If someone's going to walk up to you and that's the thing that's going to make them go, oh, I know who you are. Maybe spend a little bit of extra time on that, right? Handcraft that instead of buying the baseball cap that doesn't quite have the right shape. Reusable. So one of my favorite things is I have a yarn wig for Ariel, which now that we have like beautifully dreadlocked braided Ariel works even better. But even before I was rocking the yarn wig and it made my cosplay a little bit different. I got it on Etsy. I'm not as cool as Anna. I can't make my own yarn wigs, but I could find somebody that could make me a yarn wig. And I like to do all of the Little Mermaid cosplays. So that's something I really invested in because I knew it's reusable. I can literally wake up one morning and go, hey, I want to go to this con. And if I pop that wig on and literally any green and purple clothes, like I'm good. I can feel like I'm participating. I can have a good time. I know it's there for me. It stores great. And anything that's over the top, like anything that someone's going to walk up to you and be like, yeah, that's amazing. I like to spend time on those things too. So for me, some of my favorite hero pieces are this dormouse. Like, I don't know that the dormouse is super essential to the Mad Hatter, but I hand felted the mouse because I decided I wanted to learn felting. I found the teacup at a thrift store and went, oh my God, of course the Mad Hatter would have this, and decided that. And it makes posing in character super easy because you cross your eyes and you make your body look weird and you're the Mad Hatter instantly. And it made it a little bit different than any other Mad Hatter that was out there, right? My yarn wig, again, one of my favorite things. And then on the end is my bearded lady for Halloween, which is not cosplay, but can be cosplay. I was Jose Altuve, who's a man who has a beard. And so I decided like my hero piece of that costume that I was going to get really excited about was giving myself a very realistic looking beard. This is a makeup sponge that has a lot of holes in it intentionally and like brow gel. It's nothing more than that. And lots of time spent layering it to get it to look exactly the way I wanted. And when I showed my 16-year-old boys that I had better facial hair than them, when I hung out with my 16-year-old basketball team, they were like in awe and they told me they couldn't look at me. It was freaky. So that was my hero piece of that. I loved that part. The devil is in the details. So for me, I think accessories add almost like the most to a costume, right? So I have this bag that Mersadis painted for me because she's more artistic than me. I love her. But like I take this bag with me anytime I'm the Little Mermaid. It has flounder on it. Do I have to make flounder? No, I'm not making flounder. Mersadis can make me flounder one day. But Mersadis can paint me flounder and I can carry it around on a bag. It's not cheating. It makes the character, right? It's a detail. And then I have like seashells on my necklace. I've got her little flower that goes in her hair. And consider what you have on you or what you need. I think a lot of people think glasses are like a very big barrier to cosplay, and I could not disagree more. Like there is nothing more fun than going on like Zenny or some of these really inexpensive online websites and buying a ridiculous pair of glasses for the con that you'll probably reuse again. Like that's fun. Or I have glasses like this that kind of show up on your face, kind of don't, so that you can like meld into your costume. So I don't think glasses are a barrier. Sometimes your character wears glasses. Lean into it. Or be Velma, right? Like if you wear glasses, if you've got those black glasses, be Velma. It's very easy. And assistive devices, right? Like not everybody is the same. I wish I was Daenerys rolling around like in my personal Game of Thrones chair. Like how cool is that? I've seen people who are in wheelchairs that are mermaids and their wheelchair is the rock. And then they have like the mermaid tail wrapped around on it. So I encourage you, anything that you see as a challenge, try to think about it as a highlight, right? Try to think about it as something you can use to be different and stand out. And if you look at it that way, instead of getting disappointed by it, you can come up with some really cool and creative things. The other thing is to think about the things that you need on you. Comfortable shoes. If you're wearing a dress and your shoes aren't going to show, put on some dang flip-flops and just don't show people your feet. It's okay. It doesn't make your cosplay any less, I promise. I'm a big fan of incorporating bags because I know I'm buying a crap load of stuff at any con that I go to, let's be honest. And I don't love carrying around a bunch of plastic bags. So I have a little mermaid bag. I have a very special Mad Hatter bag that is made out of a bunch of scraps. Like, bring a bag that goes with your character and meshes. And I think that's kind of a cool... Do I see somebody that has, yes, a bag that goes with their character? I love that my audience is like on board with everything we have. Cool. Next slide. And then enjoy the process. Like, have fun. One of my favorite things to do that I don't think anyone else does is when I take off my makeup at the end of a con, I always take off half my face and take a picture just so people can see like the before and after. And so I can see the before and after. Like sometimes you forget that you did a pretty cool job that day. This shell bra was like my favorite thing that I ever made when I was much younger and skinnier. But it was literally like foam shell pieces from a craft store, a bra, some paint, some dollar store paint brushes. Like it did not cost that much to make, and I had my big wig over it, so it looked really cool. So you'll see I take a lot of like in-process photos because I think they're fun. Enjoy it. You should have as much fun putting on your cosplay as you do walking around in it, I think. Don't get stressed out. Mersadis and I The first time we did this Pop Girl, this one with her tears, we bought like a Pop Girl kit because that was cheaper to do the makeup. It was around Halloween, I think. And it came with this yellow hairspray. And we did wigs. We weren't going to do the yellow hairspray. I, not thinking, picked up a spray bottle and went to set my makeup and sprayed yellow hairspray all over my completely finished makeup in our hotel room right before we left for the con. So I let myself cry for like 10 seconds and like cuss and be really upset. And then I just got the makeup wipes, wiped them off. Mercedes was like the best cheerleader ever. She's like, you got this. Now you know how to do it. It's going to go so much faster. And that's my like second go around makeup. And it was faster, but like nothing has to be a barrier. This was not the wig and dress I expected to wear today. My wig ended up being way too small on my head. And then when this wig went with the other dress, I looked a little too I Love Lucy, and that was not happening. So just like think on your feet. This is a dress that I had in my closet, and I went, haha, it has stripes, lucky me. It kind of goes with my Pop Girl thing. Just have fun. And be inclusive. So this is the one thing that having Mercedes bring me into cosplay has been really nice with, is she never looks at you and goes, your cosplay's good, but mine's better. Like, don't ever look at somebody at a con and be like, oh, really? That's all you did? You could have done this better. Like, don't be that person. Don't be gatekeepy. Sorry to cuss. Don't be a dick. Be nice to all of your fellow cosplayers. If you walked in and I was there, I probably complimented you when you came in. There is something, whether it is a basic cosplay or a really fancy cosplay, that someone can be really proud of that they did. And I think it's our job as cosplayers to lift everybody else up and to make it an inclusive community and keep it a fun, safe place for everybody. Build them up and share them. So these are cool pictures that I took. Hipster Mermaid, one of my favorite casual cosplays. My husband doesn't really do costumes or cosplay, but we're basketball coaches together. So I was like, hey, if I do Space Jam, will you look really stupid and wear bunny ears? And he was like, yeah. So we did that, and we had a water bottle that said Michael's Secret Stuff. So like, again, the details. And my favorite one that's up here is the second one is actually my mom in my Mad Hatter cosplay because she wanted to win a costume contest at work. So like, share with your friends, bring in people that wouldn't normally do cosplay. This community is great as long as the nice, great people are the ones that win and not the haters, right? So that's why our panel is called Cosplay is for Everybody. Be inclusive, be nice, compliment each other. That's it. So A, do you have any questions? And B, does anybody want to like, afterwards, we brought things for you to come up and touch and feel and ask questions about how we made and all that good stuff. You have a question in the back. She definitely won the contest. Yes. I went over and did her makeup in the morning, and she's a pretty reserved, conservative lady. So when she showed up that way to work, people were very surprised. Yeah. I think our costume designer would be great to take this one. So the question is, she needs ombre fabric, and ombre fabric is really expensive online, and I know that you know how to make ombre fabric.
So the way that I have done ombre dyeing in the past is I tied the fabric to the handle of my microwave over my stove, which is where I have a big pot that I got from my Buy Nothing group, and I wrote on it in Sharpie, dye baths only, not for food. It lives in a separate place in our kitchen because I live in a 2-bedroom apartment and don't have space for a lot of stuff. And basically what you do is you start with the darkest dye, and then I start with the darkest dye, steep it, basically, keep part of it out of the dye bath, and then dip, make a gradient, basically. So you start with the darkest dye, water it down, lower a little bit. I'm trying to like just hold the mic be my mic stand. Okay. So just like, if this is your fabric, dye this much with the darkest color, and then lower more into the dye bath as you, and you can do it with different colors too. So I have a dress actually where the top is pink, the middle is red, and the bottom is purple. And it's mostly about strategically dipping in the dye bath so that you're getting, if you want, dark on one end, light on the other. But it's, again, sort of like what you have at hand will help determine what it is that you can do. There are lots of different cool, actually, Upcycle Creative Reuse Center in Alexandria. They have workshops, and then there's another place in Alexandria called Artistic Artifacts that has classes and workshops, and they have a lady there who does dye. Like, dye is her thing. It's her specialty, and so they'll have a dye days where they'll talk to you more about Artistic Artifacts. Yeah, and they're they sell, it's mostly quilting stuff, but they have other craft things. They have these really cool packets of ephemera if you ever do collage art, but they do a lot of fabric and other fiber arts stuff, workshops. So, but yeah, ombre dyeing is mostly about being tactical about what dye goes on what part.
And if you don't want to dye, I bet Mercedes knows a tool that she could use. Oh, I'm putting you on the spot. I've seen people airbrush fabric too, depending upon how big the piece is. Like if it's just a sleeve or something like that, you can layer airbrush, and the more paint you put on, the darker it's going to get, and the less paint you put on, the lighter it's going to get. So you can ombre with an airbrush too. It just kind of depends, do you feel more comfortable dyeing? I'm terrified of dyeing. Not this kind of dyeing, but the fabric kind of dyeing. But I would choose airbrush, but Anna in a heartbeat would dye. And I think it depends what the piece is too. Other questions? Cool. So we're going to turn the mic off and have this be very chill. Please come up and put your hands on things and ask questions about them. And if you have ideas, let's talk about them. That's what we're here for. Thank you.